Yellow, and welcome to my experiment. Long story short, I used to do a movies podcast, and I had to stop because of life reasons. And although I do miss talking about movies and putting it into the ether that is the internet, I am not completely sold on having to take like what little free time I have and dedicate like 3 to 4 hours of editing and putting content together to make a 2 to 2.5 hour podcast. So if all goes according to plan with this will be like that nice happy medium to where I can talk about movies, put it out into the ether, and still have free time to go and do other shit. So we'll see how it goes, because this is like I said, this is just all an experiment right now. So what are we doing? What we're doing is that I have a vast collection of movies, and there's like a couple of movies, maybe like a handful of them that are in a rotation to where I have to watch them at least once a year. The rest of them, like the majority of the movies that I have, sit on the shelf and collect dust and get dusted when I dust, or they get lent out to friends and family. Some return, some don't. We'll get into that pretty soon. So what I want to do is it won't be every week, but what I want to do is just do a blind grab from the collection, take the movie, watch it, and then the format would be I'll talk about like how it got into the collection, because it's not a story for every single one, but there are some unique stories for some of them. But talk about how I got into the collection, what I thought about it at the time, what I think about it now with more mature eyes and a more mature mindset, and then the $1 million question: does it stay or does it go? Does it go as in I'm not gonna like throw it in the trash like right then and there, like my body will not let me do that, but like it'll be one of those things where if someone were to borrow it from me, I wouldn't really hassle them about getting it back. Like even if I went to their house and saw it on their shelf, and I wouldn't be like, that's my movie, give it back. Or let's say I end up like packing up and moving, and I forget to put that movie in the box with all the rest of them, and then next thing you know, it's the new owner is whoever buys the house. Do something like that. So that's the format that I want to do. So this is episode 0, so technically it's not canon, but I just wanted to use this as an opportunity to talk about this movie and get things started, because this is the movie that inspired the idea for me to want to do the series of videos about this stuff. The reason why is because I didn't see this movie in theaters, so I legit just went to the store and bought this movie without seeing it first. The only thing I was going off of was a snippet of a trailer that I had saw for the movie when it was in theaters, and a recommendation from my friend who told me to go see it in theaters, but I never got the chance to because I just didn't make time to go and do it, and I regret it now, but we'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, so I went off of a recommendation and just bought the movie. And that's what I used to do back in my younger days when I had lots of money, is that every Tuesday I would go to like Best Buy or Target or something and get the latest movie, game, and albums and stuff that would come out without even seeing them. I just wanted a movie to add to the collection. And I'm pretty sure that's one of the main reasons why my collection is so vast, is because I would just blindly go and buy movies without even watching them. And if they were bad, they were bad, and I was just like, man, that was a waste, and it just sat on the shelf, or if somebody wanted to borrow it, I'd let them borrow it, So here we are now. But that is not the case with this movie. I love this movie. This movie was so good. What makes it good, you say? I mean, I like the story. I like the cast. It blew away my expectations because I thought it was just gonna be a family drama, but there is a good amount of action mixed in there to where it keeps you like engaged and keeps you awake, to where it doesn't just bog down with preaching to you about life and everything like that. The movie is about Michelle Yeoh's character, where she's this mom that is getting pulled in every which way, and this is before the multiverse gets introduced to her. So like, she's got a business that she's trying to keep afloat. She's got a marriage that she's trying to keep together. She's got a daughter that she's trying to keep happy, and then she's trying to keep herself happy. So she's getting pulled in all kind of different directions. And then of the day of all days, a person ends up visiting her from another universe and tells her that there's a multiverse and there's a force that is threatening the very existence of the multiverse, and that out of all the different versions of her in those other universes, she is the one that has the ability to fix it. One of the main tools that she uses to do this is verse jumping. Best way to describe this is, let's say in her present universe that she's getting attacked and she doesn't know how to defend herself because she's just a small business owner who runs a laundromat. Instead of getting the shit kicked out of her, she's able to channel a different version of herself in another universe where she's a kung fu master and embody that in the present and defend herself, if that makes any sense. Best way to describe the movie, like, overall, would be like a mixture of like the Matrix and not Inception. Oh wait, no, yeah, Inception. I was thinking of Tenet, but yeah, it's like a mixture of the Matrix and Inception. And the way those movies were explained, like as far as like the laws and stuff that they set up and abided by throughout the movie, it's done the same way here. And it's done in a fashion to where it didn't like overload me with information. Like, it was like a steady flow and a steady pace throughout the movie to where I was never really lost. I would say like by the end of the movie, I maybe had like a few questions that got unanswered, but thinking back on it, it would probably be considered nitpicking at that point. But I liked it overall. So I like the story of the movie. Like, the multiverse theory like really interests me. So the fact that the movie covered that was a plus. The cast in the movie is really good. The standouts to me were Michelle Yeoh, just because, I mean, obviously she's a protagonist, but I'm used to seeing her in like international kung fu movies like Super Cop and Hero and Crouching Tiger and stuff, and I feel like she always has that kind of reserved elegance to her. Like, she's good, but it's kind of like the same shtick every time. Whereas in this movie, she really gets to show like how versatile of an actor that she is, and I really appreciate that. Like what they were doing to her in this movie as far as like makeup goes, like making her look a lot older than she actually was, and putting hot dog fingers on her and shit, and got her just like goofing about and everything. Like, even in the behind the scenes stuff, it looked like she was having a really good time while filming the movie. So she was definitely a standout in the movie for me when it came to like not just the action, but like the more dramatic and emotional scenes and the more like comedic scenes like that. It was really good to see that other side of her for a change. The other standout to me was Short Round, because I went through the entire movie not knowing that it was Short Round. And if you don't know what I'm talking about the little kid from Indiana Jones, the very funny Dr. Jones, little sidekick from Temple of Doom. He's in this damn movie. And it's crazy because I'm watching the movie and I kept like questioning whether it was Jackie Chan or not, because there's certain shots on his face where he looked like Jackie Chan. Like, it was to the point where I was like, maybe it's Jackie Chan's son, because he looks like a younger version of Jackie Chan. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't until I had finished watching the movie and dove into the special features and stuff. Yes, I like special features, to where the directors like had said, hey, like, Short Round's back, like he, like, after Goonies or Temple of Doom or whatever, he like took a break from acting for like 20 years, and then like he just recently came back in and got cast in this movie. So like, that was just mind-blowing to me. So, special features. Now, if you've ever looked at like something, whether it be on digital or on the back of the box of the movie and you saw like, oh, director's commentary, blooper reel, featurettes, all this other stuff. If you ever sat and was like, why did they do this? Why did they waste their time with this? Who do they do this for? They do it for me. I'm that guy. And you know what? The fact that they still do it to this extent, because they even do it for like digital movies. The fact that they still do special features like that shows that it ain't just me. It's a very large amount of people that are into it that has the filmmakers still doing this type of stuff. And I, for one, really appreciate it. Special features are really good in this. Like I said, director's commentary is good. They give you a lot of insight into the movies. So if there's any, like, whether you're just into the behind the scenes stuff like I am, or if you're like an up and coming filmmaker, they actually give some pretty good tips on like filming a movie as far as like props and setup and all that. The other thing that I was interested in too with the special features was they got more into like the training that all the actors did for the action scenes, for like all the martial arts and stuff like that. Because surprisingly, it ain't just Michelle Yeoh that's running around flipping and doing roundhouse kicks and shit. Like Jamie Lee Curtis even gets in on a few scenes as well. And like, I'm used to Jamie Lee Curtis and her versatility and her like wackiness and on the screen. But this was also a movie where I never like really saw her in that light before. So I was really impressed with her as well. So yeah. So anyway, that brings us to the $1 million question, which is, does it stay or does it go? And it, without a doubt, stays. It stays so much that if someone were to ask me to borrow this movie, I would have to think very, very hard if I wanted to let them borrow it, because I can't take the chance that they borrow it and never give it back. Like, this is definitely that movie where it's like, I'll lend it to somebody and I'll check in on them, you know, like I'll give it to them and I'll give them like a week. After a week, I hit them up and I'm like, hey man, you watched that movie yet? And they'd be like, no man, no, I ain't got time. I didn't get time to watch it yet. I'm straight up going to their house and grabbing the damn movie back. I'm like, all right, let me know when you ready. Like, this is how hard this stays in the collection. So it is a very, very welcome addition to my vast collection of movies. Do I recommend watching it? I definitely recommend watching it. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you don't like action movies. I don't care if you don't like dramas. I don't care if you like the artsy-fartsy movies. I honestly think that's Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is a movie that everyone should watch, mainly just for the story itself, because I do think that they deliver a few like social commentaries and share some ideologies that I feel like a lot of people can vibe with, or at least like open their eyes to other things outside of their box, you know. So anywho, that's it. That's the show. That's the format. That's what I want. Okay. So going forward, this all works out. So how we're gonna do it. So until then, I would appreciate some feedback, you know, so I can get better at this. It's been a minute since I've had to sit in front of a camera and a microphone and talk my talk, you know. So you're gonna have to forgive my rustiness. You're gonna have to forgive all the, you know, little window dressing or lack thereof. You know, we'll fix that. Background, I don't really give a shit about the background. I know you're supposed to do some cool shit where, you know, you got all kind of movies behind you and you'd be like, oh, look at me, I'm so cool. I like, as I talk about movies, look at the movies behind me. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm gonna pretend like I haven't done that before, but you know, we'll work on it, man. Like I said, it's episode 0. We're in the experimental phase, so you know, just give me some feedback, keep it constructive, you know, and that's it. I'll see you on the next one. Till then, I'm out this bitch. Thanks for watching.